Okay, so as promised in my last video, I'm going to do a video on the contest that Ray from Philly is running for his 1-year anniversary of being on YouTube. I went back and I checked. I was curious how long I've been on YouTube, and it's since 2007 that I've had an account on YouTube. I've only been doing videos since about 2013, 2012, something like that, but very, very sporadically. Only recently have I been doing them more often as I got more subscribers and people saying, hey, when are you going to do some more videos? So I started doing a lot more videos and watching a lot more videos and really starting to really enjoy some people's channels. And one of those channels that I really enjoy watching, and I never miss a video that he does, is Ray from Philly. He's a great guy. I've been able to send him some cards, ironically, that he didn't even need for his top 300 because we both collect top 300. And so I'm going to try to make this short and answer his 3 questions that he asked us to talk about for his contest. And the first one was an event that you were at. And I had to struggle with this because there are 2 things that I wanted to talk about. One was I was at the 2010 Game 3, which was the first World Series game ever played at the ballpark in Arlington for the Rangers. We actually won that game. That was the only game we won in the series. The Giants throttled us the rest of the time. That'll make Tops 85-401 very happy, but that was not a good day or a good series for the Rangers. But we made it to the World Series. Huge deal to beat the Yankees in the ALCS. And I have had the distinct pleasure of being at least one game of every series that the Rangers have played in the playoffs since 2010, including last year's thrashing by the Blue Jays. So that was a great memory for me to be there for that first game that we won. But my real memory that I'm going to talk about is something that happened to me when I was a kid. I'm 43 now, so this is a long time ago, and my details, kind of like a fish story, have probably grown over the years. But when I was a kid, my dad worked television for the Rangers, and he was a cameraman in the booth with the announcers. And one day that he usually worked the away feed. So one day the Angels were in town, and back then Reggie Jackson was the announcer, the color guy for the California Angels back then. And it was at the old Arlington Stadium, and I had gone to so many games with my dad. I knew that place like the back of my hand, and I was what's called a runner. So my job was to take drinks to cameramen or just kind of go do whatever needed to get done during the game for the television production. And that day, Reggie, for whatever reason, needed to go to the Angels clubhouse. And I said, well, I'll take him. You know, he needed someone to kind of take him down there that knew where to go, and I did. So I went down and took him down there, and kind of one of the only ways to access it from the booth was to go onto the field. And it was during batting practice, which was fine, very cool. He started chatting away with some of the players, and I was maybe 11, 12, 13 years old at the most. But the distinct memory I have of that is I'm standing on the field during batting practice, and all these kids, there were 3 or 4 kids, hey Mike, and Mike Moynihan. I'm like, hey, what's up? And they were kids from my middle school that I was attending at the time, and I'm standing there with Reggie Jackson. I'm on the field at a Rangers game. So for about a week, I was the coolest guy in school, and then reality set in again, and that changed. But that was a great memory for me, and I have a lot of great memories from being with my dad at ball games and spending time with him. He worked a lot, and I was very proud of him, but that just gave me a chance to go be with him and 2 loves of my life, my dad and baseball. So that was a great combination. And that goes to the second question, and then the third will really tie this all together. But the second question was your most valuable item. And so my most valuable item or favorite item or whatever you want to call it is something that I got a couple of years ago at an auction back in, it was probably 2010, 2011. My collection really shifted from being more of a player collection to Hall of Famer autographs. And the reason I did that, and iconic cards, like the top 300 cards, because I realized after player collecting Juan Gonzalez and players like Darryl Strawberry and different guys that, you know, these guys are going to come and go. Highly unlikely you're going to pick a guy that's going to become a Hall of Famer. Even if you do, his stuff's going to get so crazy expensive that it's just not any fun. And so I shifted from player collecting to Hall of Famer autographs, because you're once a Hall of Famer, you're always a Hall of Famer. And there's stuff I had this challenge. I went to an event, got Fergie Jenkins for $20 on a card at a charity event. I'm like, man, I wonder how many Hall of Famers I can get for 20 bucks or under. And so the obsession began. And I've been collecting Hall of Famers ever since, to the tune of 1,750 Hall of Famers that I probably have now, of which I have 208, 210 different, which is pretty incredible. And one of my favorite Hall of Famers is this guy, and he's on a piece here that I'm going to show you that I got. Again, this is easily the most money I've ever spent for an autographs, because that'll give you a hint. But I'm going to go ahead and show it to you, and then I'll talk about it. So this is a 3x5 card signed by Ben Chapman, a couple of other guys, Frank Crosetti. But the two big guys that are on here are Tony Lazzeri and Lou Gehrig. And this thing can be traced back to probably somewhere in the late 20s, potentially the 27 Yankees, because all these guys played for the Yankees around that time. And Lou Gehrig is a very hard autograph, and I love Lou Gehrig. He's one of my favorite Hall of Famers. That's where I was going with that earlier. But this piece is also signed by Tony Lazzeri, already slabbed. Bought it already slabbed. It's funny, there's on the back, it's got $2.50. Can you see that? Like, I hope somebody didn't pay $2.50 for this. If they did, they were very lucky. But Tony Lazzeri is very, very hard to get. His stuff is incredibly expensive, very, very rare. To get a piece with him and Lou Gehrig, I had to jump at it back when that auction hit, and I was pretty much determined to win it. So the third part of the video is a piece of memorabilia that matters to you. So going back to my dad, I told you he worked Rangers games and all sorts of sporting events as a cameraman. And all my childhood, he walked around and he carried a baseball with him. And it was a baseball that he kept in literally a Ziploc bag. And every time he would see a Hall of Famer, my dad, God bless him, didn't know a whole lot about players and who people were, and like, oh, who's that guy? And he would just say, is that a Hall of Famer? And they'd probably say yes, and my dad would pull out the ball and get it signed. And so I have this ball. It's American League ball. I'll show it to you. It's probably gonna be hard to see. I'm gonna try not to touch certain parts of it. American League ball, back when Bobby Brown was president of the American League. And he just kept getting it signed by different Hall of Famers. So there's Brooks Robinson, Al Kaline, George Kell are on that panel. On this panel is Harmon Killebrew, Reggie Jackson, Nolan Ryan. On this panel are two Hall of Fame announcers, let's see if I can get this, that are very, Ernie Harwell, Mel Allen, both passed away. On this panel is Don Drysdale, Phil Rizzuto. So the only one alive left is, well, Nolan Ryan and Reggie Jackson are alive. And then on the sweet spot, I guess this might have been the first auto that he got on the ball, is Mickey Mantle. Now the M's are kind of bad. I mean, this isn't, I mean, it's kind of faded. I've had this ball a long time. You can see how the ball is not in the greatest of conditions, but it's still Mickey Mantle. It's as legit as it gets. I know my dad got it from the Mick himself. And so I've never sent it in to be authenticated, don't need to. I know the source, and it's a family heirloom, never to really go anywhere. I never plan on selling it or anything. It's always gonna be in my collection. And I'm very proud of this ball, mainly because my dad did it. And it's just a cool piece of memorabilia. Ironically, probably not worth a whole lot of money. But let's see, 4, 5, well, no, Al Kaline's still alive. I'm just kind of looking around and seeing there's not many people still alive, so this ball is pretty unique and very special to me. So there's my submission for the contest. Ray, I'll put a link on your channel so you can see it. And I appreciate all you do. Congratulations on 1 year, and I hope to watch many more videos of yours. I'm gonna set this ball down carefully. And I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks for watching, and keep collecting.